So let's then compare that to the whole history of HDMI as it goes right back to the first announcement in 2002 and the first specification that was released in 2003. So as you can see, HDMI has been around for the best part of 10 years now. When I refer to silicon, I'm just referring to the actual chipsets that are used within HDMI devices. So every HDMI source device that has a HDMI output socket on it has behind it a HDMI transmitter chipset. Now, you may not think about that chipset actually varying in quality or having a ceiling of bandwidth, but the variability is actually quite extreme. So, and the performance of products can actually vary with that as well. So back in 2003, when we first saw the first devices hitting the market, they were actually offering 4.95 gigabits per second as a ceiling. So that was the maximum they could do. But that's still more than what 1080p 60, which we still use today, as our benchmark. Back in 2003, the devices could support that. The only reason in 2007, when we saw the next real generational change in HDMI, that was where they went to 6.75, but that was only to allow a bit of extra headroom for deep color. And deep color is, well, it's still not among us. So considering, call me cynical, but if many display manufacturers can't do a perfect job of normal 8-bit color, 16.7 million colors, then what are they going to do with 2,800 trillion colors? So deep color was probably never really going to be a game changer, but the silicon was there to give the capacity, probably more relevant in gaming than in anything else. So in other words, in 2007, we didn't start to use HDMI any differently. We still wanted 1080p 60. So, and that's how it's been ever since. So the industry really has, from our point of view, as HDMI guys, really did plateau. So that's the existing cutoff. But as you can see on this scale, when you get up to the 297 range, that top green line, that's where 4K sits. It's well above even the current silicon. So all the devices on the market now, apart from a few that are starting to pop up with 4K labeling, they're pretty much all going to be redundant if you want 4K. 3D came along and it started raising a lot of questions. Will 3D work? Do I need a new cable? What about the devices? PlayStation 3 just needed a firmware update to get it working because it didn't change. The reason that 3D gaming didn't go to 1080p 60 3D is because 1080p 60 3D happens to be the same bandwidth as 4K. As you can see, the silicon won't support it, so it simply couldn't do it. That's the only reason we haven't had it today. But 4K is going to be a different landscape because it requires all new hardware. It's already started. Silicon manufacturers like Silicon Image and Analog Devices have already released new 300 megahertz silicon, which is just above what's needed for 4K. But that's fine. Just above is enough. That covers it. And we're starting to see implementations of that silicon already in various display devices, such as Sony's new 4K projector, JVC, and there's going to be source devices. I've already seen on the net that there's an announcement, I don't know if you saw it, Dave, the Sony Blu-ray player. They've already made an announcement that there's going to be a 4K Blu-ray player to be released. I would suggest that that's probably just going to be an upscaling device. I don't know yet if it's going to have the ability to read 4K Blu-ray disc. Probably not, because I don't know that they've actually settled on how it's going to be formatted, so how can they produce a piece of hardware for it yet. But even if you have a source device that is upscaling to 4K, the reality is the cable is still expected to convey that 4K bandwidth through to the display. So regardless of whether it's native or scaled 4K, 4K is 4K. It's still there. So this new silicon, the new generation, start looking out for 4K and start asking questions to the various vendors that are promoting such products. When you see 4K on a source device, ask how they're achieving the 4K. On an AV receiver, probably even more complex. Does the AV receiver have 4K capable inputs? Or is it just upscaling to 4K and it can only support the output? So will it throughput 4K? There are lots of questions to be asked, and that will evolve as time goes on.